Welcome to What's Your Story? I'm your host, Sharita Williams, and I'm excited tonight. We have a new broadcaster who's going to start on Thursday, 2 hours after me. He's going to come on at 9. We're very excited to have a new broadcaster. Please help me welcome Byron Pettit to the show. Byron, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Byron, tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Okay, again, my name is Byron Pettit. I am a father, I'm a husband. I have 4 children. The youngest is 3 and the oldest is 15. Originally from Washington State, went to school up there. After Washington State, moved to California, needed to see some sunshine. So lived out in California for 20 plus years, met my wife, and I said, you know what, we need to, if we want to grow our family, can't do it in California, a little bit too expensive. And so I had family down here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So we relocated down here to Charlotte, North Carolina, been here ever since. It's been a real good experience. Came in, moved to Charlotte, hit the ground running, got involved in activities with our children, found a church home that we enjoy, and just really been a part of the Charlotte community and enjoyed being here so far.
Well, we're excited to have you, and we're so excited to have you in the Carolina. So this is a great segue. You said you moved because of your family, and so that is so wonderful. Is that why you chose Family Matter as the name of your show?
Yes. Family is extremely important to me and my wife. That's something that's been instilled in us before we got married. The importance of how family is sometimes when you don't have anyone, you can always lean on your family. And that's what we've been able to do since being here in Charlotte. My sister lives here. She steps in quite a bit when we need that childcare. So it's been a blessing. And family, again, as I said, is extremely important to both of us. And that's something we've instilled to our children as well. Sometimes you may not have anybody else, but you got your siblings. It's important to nurture those relationships and foster those relationships. So later in life, as you get older, you can always lean on.
Absolutely. I am one of 8. So I do understand about, the importance of family. And actually, I am child number 7. So it should have been a number of completion, but my parents didn't stop with me. So I am excited just to have siblings. You're absolutely right. So Byron, this is a great segue into what you do. I understand that you are a parent agreement specialist. Tell our viewers a little bit exactly what is a parent agreement specialist.
What I do specifically, I assist parties, and when I say parties, couples, either folks going through divorce or individuals who have children, helping them develop a parenting agreement. Now, people say, why do they need a parenting agreement? Well, sometimes people are in conflict and they don't have the ability to co-parent with one another. And a lot of times, verbal agreements sometimes are not being followed through. So when you come to a parenting agreement specialist, my job is to assist you to put those agreements down on paper. So when you have that down on paper and you're able to visually see it, each party is accountable for what they said they'll agree to do. So if something as simple as like, I'm going to get the child from a Friday at 6 to a Sunday at 6, we see that on paper. We are now accountable for what that agreement says. And a lot of times with the agreement, it helps folks to minimize conflict, because conflict will always be there. There's nothing wrong with having conflict, but it minimizes conflict. It sometimes minimizes tension. And it also holds, as I said earlier, holds each person accountable for what they said they'll agree to do.
Absolutely. So you being a parent agreement specialist, why not just use a mediator? What's the difference between a mediator and a parent agreement specialist?
You could. I mean, I never discourage anyone from using a mediator, or let's go a step further, you're going to courts, you can. I think the environment or the style that I offer to folks is a little bit more inviting. And what I mean by that, it's just an atmosphere. Let's just have a conversation. And my job is as not only the agreement specialist, but more of a facilitator, just to facilitate a conversation between parties. And from that, we draft or develop an agreement that's going to make sense for them. Now, going to court, if you just want to use that court process, sometimes that's intimidating for folks. Folks don't want to go to court to, again, have a mediator or even have a judge determine the outcome of how you're going to put a parenting agreement together. If you use a mediator, which you can, sometimes those fees could be astronomical. So when you come to a parent agreement specialist, me in particular, again, I said my style is a little bit different. I mean, I want to empower the parties to understand that I'm here for you. how can we put an agreement together that's going to work for all parties so that you never have to see the inside of a courtroom?
Okay, so with the parent agreement specialist, do you go to court, or it's already a court order that is set in place?
Now, what I would do, great question. When I help parties draft the agreement, and let's be clear, I'm going to help them draft the agreement. I would encourage them or help them with the steps need to be to make that an official order. Now, you do want to make it official, and you want to get a judge's signature on it because that carries more weight. Some parties have said, well, Mr. Pettit, we just want to get it notarized. You can. I mean, a notary carries some weight, but when you have a judge's signature on it, that carries even more weight, that we have to follow what's been assigned. So whether you sit in a court or you come before me as a parent agreement specialist, I'll show you how to get that drafted through the court so it becomes an official court document.
Absolutely. So Byron, how did you choose this line of work? How did you get into being a parent agreement specialist?
You know, I've always been in the helping field. Before I got into becoming a parent agreement specialist, I was a social worker. My master's in counseling of psychology, so I've done counseling before, but it's always been in the helping field. My dad is a minister. My mom is a retired social worker. So I've always seen or been around environments where we're helping people. So that's something I felt like, as a Christian man, that we're just called to do. We're called to help those who are less fortunate than we are. And when I do that and I see how helping people makes a difference, and my hope is that that my children, they do the same thing and understand the importance of helping those folks who are less fortunate than we are. But I've always seen it. I've always been around it, always been involved and active in the church. And part of that responsibility is helping out others. So it just made sense. It was just more of a natural progression for me to fall in this line of work. I didn't think I'd be a parent agreement specialist, to be honest. But part of it, if you think about what I do, is conflict. And you have to be comfortable to some degree working in conflict. Because folks are not, if folks were able to work this out, they would not need me. So it tells you people sometimes are coming with a lot of conflict and a lot of tension. For me to do that part of work, particularly parent agreement specialist, there was training ground, there was work that I had to put in before I got here. And sometimes being a social worker and doing counseling, it helped prepare me for this line of work that I'm doing right now.
Exactly. So Byron, with so many Black males given such a bad rep, how is it received when someone first meet you? Because we know about so many Black males, got a reputation, and it's just a stereotype, because we know it's not true. Because we know lots of Black men that are wonderful fathers and husbands. So that's just a stigmatite that has trying to cover the Black male. So how is it received when they come in to see that you are a Black man doing something positive for the community?
Well, I think initially they probably are waiting to see, is he going to be somebody that's going to be somewhat standoffish? He's going to act like he knows it all, or what is going to be his style? And my style is simply like, look, I first tell people I'm here to help you, number one. Number two, I don't have all the answers. I don't. Number three, I'm probably going through things like you going through as well, because we all are going through something. And I share with people, just because you're sitting over there doesn't mean what you've done is wrong. And I want to help people understand that, because a lot of times folks will feel like ashamed or feel like they've done something wrong. And that's not the case at all. My job is just strictly here to assist you. If I can help you to minimize, again, as I say, conflict or pain or tension that you have, that's what I want to help you to do. So when they receive or they see my just my energy that I get off and I'm there to help them, it turns out really well. It turns out really well. And people are really appreciative. Like I said, a lot of times you may not get an agreement sometime. People come to you because that's what they want. But sometimes you may just not agree with the other party, and that's okay. But I want people leaving my office or meeting with me feeling like they have been heard, they have been valued. And that's really important to me, that they feel like they've been heard, they've been valued, and they've been appreciated.
Exactly, because it's all about being transparent and
Sure.
being honest and having good integrity,
Right.
with individuals. So when you go, when people come to you, do you work for the one party versus the other party, or do you work with both parties together?
Work with both parties together. Great question. Because as a parenting agreement specialist, you want to remain neutral. I'm neutral because, again, we're gathering, there's a little bit of gathering information in regards to why do you want this sort of schedule, or I feel this way toward dad, or I don't want to feel as if I'm being pulled one way toward dad or one way toward mom. So my job is strictly to remain neutral. As I said earlier, I'm there to just facilitate. So almost like an air traffic controller, my job is to land the plane. So my job is to land the plane. I'm gonna do what's necessary to make sure all parties have been heard, all parties getting felt comfortable, and all parties have been valued. So if you're coming in, and I'm okay if people say, well, I feel like you're spending too much time listening to him or too much time listening to her. Again, as I said, part of the process is for me to be a good parenting agreement specialist is also to be held accountable, maybe things that I can change to be different going forward. But you work together. You work with both parties, not with one party. And you also asked me something earlier, would you meet with one party or the other? Even if one party came to me and I met with the other party separately, I would let them know, like, hey, the information you're sharing with me, there's a level of confidentiality, but I also want to let you know, I'm not on your side, or I'm not on dad's side. I'm both your sides together. More particularly, I'm trying to help you draft an agreement for your child or children. That's what I'm here for.
Absolutely. So Byron, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back right after the break. And if you're interested in being a guest on the show, please contact me, Sharita Williams, 154@gmail.com, or you can go to our website, WYTV7.org, and contact us there. And if you're really enjoying these segments, please go to our website and donate to WYTV7. We'll be back shortly after this break.
Are you ready to buy a new home or refinance a home? Call Quentin Johnson at Homestar Financial. Homestar Financial offers competitive rates for home improvement, new construction, FHA, VA, conventional, and USDA loans. Take advantage of today's low interest rates by being a smart and prepared buyer. Get pre-approved today and find out just how much house you can afford. Call Quentin Johnson at Homestar Financial, 704-526-4007, extension 50306. Homestar Financial makes home ownership a reality. In MLS 161685, equal housing lender.
We're back to What's Your Story? My guest today is Byron Pettit. And Byron, please tell our viewers exactly what you do again.
I'm a parenting agreement specialist, and specifically, I sit with individuals who want to work out a parenting agreement between them, which would hold them accountable as far as how they're parenting their child or children. We can establish a visitation schedule. I usually like to call it time sharing. I don't believe you visit your children. I believe you spend time with them. So I call it a time sharing section. We can add holidays, summer schedule, any sort of specific statements you want to put in your agreement, like no smoking or drinking around the child or children. It's an agreement that's going to be tailor-made. What's going to work for your situation.
So Byron, as a parent agreement specialist, what is one of the most challenging parts of your job?
I think one of the things that's challenging is really trying to get folks to dialogue in regards to not only putting the agreement together, but sometimes in regards to how they're feeling toward one another. Because once you can get the feeling piece out, you begin to do the work, and the work is really working toward a resolution. A lot of times when parties come before you, if they're angry, they're still hurt, they're not willing to work. And before even the work takes place, they're not even willing to listen or hear from one another. So that's probably one of the challenging pieces is trying to get folks to invest in wanting to do the work and to really be able to listen to hear what the other party has to say.
Absolutely. So we know conflict and resolution is a part of your job. So give us an example of a conflict that you would have to resolve.
So say, for example, you have a couple that's, I'll just say, newly separated, but they're not yet sure that they want a divorce, so to say. And let's just say dad is the one that's asking for the separation. And dad says, look, we're in a difficult spot. We're not communicating, we're not getting along. I would like to come and sit before you with my possibly soon to be ex-wife and work out a parenting agreement. What happens is you see he's the one that initiated the phone call and he's ready to put in the work, where the other party, mom, may not be willing to do that because she's not wanting to get divorced. So if I'm not one who's ready to get divorced, or I'm not one ready to be separated, it's hard for parties to want to be able to put in that work. So what happens is I find myself doing a lot of pulling, a lot of asking what the issues are. Again, dad may be giving more information, mom's not giving me enough. That makes it difficult to try to necessarily that makes it really difficult to try to get an agreement. Both parties got to be willing to put in the work. And in that situation, it eventually got there. It took us an additional session for mom to realize, maybe through her own work, that this is coming to an end. So it's better for us to try to work out something instead of having to go to court.
So Byron, I understand that you were the first Afro-American male custody mediator for Supreme Court when you lived in California. Then you come to North Carolina, you're the first Afro-American male to be a family court mediator in North Carolina. So we know that there's not a lot of mediation done, or maybe there is a lot of mediation done that we're not aware of it. Are there a lot of Black male mediators in your profession?
Not that I know of, and not that I've seen. Now, let me be specific. There may be some African-American male attorneys that also do mediation on the side, but specifically when I've been in arenas where other mediators have been, or parent agreement specialists, you don't see a lot of us in the room. You don't. And a lot of times this field there's no secret behind it. This field is dominated a lot by women and not by men. So what I call the helping field, if it's not a lot of us are in the helping field, and then you begin to narrow down the work that we do, you're probably not going to see a lot of African-American men at all in that field whatsoever. So my hope is that one day we begin to develop or have more African-American male mediators and parent agreement specialists that realize this is important work that needs to be done.
So do you get a lot of pushback because you're a Black male, you think, from people not believing that you could do the job?
I don't necessarily know if I get pushback, but I'm gonna use it. I get a lot of side eye. They're probably looking to see whether or not is he skilled or is he good enough at what he can do. Is he going to be able to articulate the feelings back to the other party as far as what the other party might be saying or what they may feel and what they may be thinking. I feel I get a lot of that. But once I'm in the room and they see that the work that I do, you do begin to see people say, okay, I think this young man knows what he's doing.
Absolutely. So give our viewers an example of one of your most challenging, just one your most challenging cases that you have resolved as a parent specialist.
Agreement was dad had recently, dad was incarcerated and dad had gotten out. So dad had not been in the child's life for a long period of time. Well, obviously what he wanted to do, he's wanted to reestablish a relationship with his son. Well, mom's issue was, I've been doing this by myself for a long period of time. Why do you want to come in now and be a part of the child's life? What I was trying to help mom understand is like, look, when is the right time for dad to come back into the picture? So I began to question her concerns and her reasons why she didn't want dad to be a part of it. She knew where he was, but what had been working for her is getting the child to school, getting the child activities. It had been working for her. She saw dad coming back in as a disruption. And what I was trying to help her understand is not necessarily disruption. He can be an addition to what you're already doing. So once you begin to frame the questions or frame what dad is wanting to her in a different way, she began to say, okay, as long as we can start slow, involving dad in the reunification with his son, I have no problem with it. But it had to be understood from a standpoint, he's not trying to come in and take over. He's just trying to come in and be involved like he's supposed to be. And for me, those are win-win situations for everybody. It's a win-win for the child. It's a win-win for mom. It's a win-win for dad. And all parties now are invested in raising the child in the way that he deserves to be. Wasn't easy. It's never easy because, again, I've been doing something that's been working for a while. Now somebody else wants to come in. But from my understanding, it's still going pretty well to this day.
So what makes a successful parent agreement?
All parties being able to put input into the agreement, and each person not only being, well, verbally being held accountable, but also putting pen to paper saying, yes, I am willing to follow through with this agreement. When you see, says, yes, I like this. Thank you for putting this together. I look forward to moving forward. Those are things that make for a successful agreement. And more importantly, people know that they put it together. As I said earlier, they didn't have to go to court. They didn't have to get attorneys involved. They put it together. They put it together in a way that's going to work for them. And the thing I want to also mention, a parenting agreement can always be changed. If the child is getting older and turning, if the child is 2 and all of a sudden you want to come back when he's 6 or come back when he's 8, you can. A parenting agreement can always be modified if it needs to be changed.
That's wonderful. So Byron, how can our viewers contact you if they need a parent's agreement specialist?
Well, they can contact me directly at 704-288-4612. I have a website. It's www.practicalfamilyresolutions.com, or they can email me. It's practicalfamilyresolutions@gmail.com.
So Ryan, we're excited about you coming to WYTV7. WYTV7's mission is to educate, empower, and encourage. So we know that you're going to be a very special part of that. So how did you come up with the name Family Matters?
Well, I think, again, as I said, growing up in an environment where family was instilled and it's just me and my sister, family was instilled in us, how important that was, being surrounded by parents who are in a helping field, going to church, seeing families that are connected. It was a natural maturation for me that this is what I wanted for my own family. I want us to understand the importance of being together, and families do matter. In the work that I do, I see a lot of conflict, and when families are not connected or they're having a hard time, you see that manifest itself, unfortunately, in the child or children. So if we can put families back together the best we can, it's only going to make it better for the children as they get older.
Absolutely. So Ryan, what should our viewers expect from your show, Family Matters?
Well, you should expect individuals who's going to come in and talk about the importance of family. And a lot of stories may not always be successful. What I mean by that, I want people to be able to hear true, authentic stories from people who may be dealing with situations, but they're getting through. But they also want to know there's going to be a show where people can give them practical information and solutions as far as how to deal with situations they may be going through as well. But most importantly, I want it to be a show that's going to be educational, and that you feel encouraged, that you do feel empowered after you see an episode or you want to continue to follow my episodes, that you can feel, you know what, every time I'm watching this Family Matters episode or show, I feel like I'm armed or charged with information to move forward in my own life.
Absolutely. I think that's beautiful. So this year on WYTV7, this is our 7th year. So our platform for this year is I'm Trying. So please let our viewers know for 2022, what is Byron Pettit trying to do?
I'm trying to leave a mark within my own family. First of all, the importance of being held accountable and being accountable to one another. But I also want to make sure I'm trying on this show, Family Matters, to educate folks and help them really buy into the importance of family. As I said earlier when we open up, family sometimes is all that you have. And if that's all you have, you want to make sure that's something that's sustainable, that's something that's powerful, and something that you can always lean on to when you need them.
Absolutely. So Byron, if you had one thing that you want to leave with our viewers to expect on your show, what would you like to leave with them?
I expect for them to be able to get good quality information and stories, sound stories from individuals who may be able to share things from their perspective, that how they may have gotten through challenging times in their lives, things that they may have used in order to push them through, but also give them information to help them understand as far as what maybe do I need to do to keep my family together, or what things can I do to build my family up even more than they are.
So we really want to thank you for coming on our show, Byron, and we're excited about your platform, Family Matters, which will air on Thursdays at 6 p.m., which is 2 hours before my show on Thursday. So if someone's out there looking to share their story or become a part of Family Matters, they can contact me, Sharita Williams, at 154@gmail.com, or they can go to our website, WYTV7.org. We are always looking for guests because it's our mission to educate our listeners. We want to empower our listeners, and more importantly, we want to encourage our listeners on day to day. So Byron, we are excited about that. And 2022, we want to see what you're going to do. So welcome to WYTV7. We look forward to you being on our show, and we look forward to our listeners listening to your show. And we hope that if they want to continue to support us, to go to WYTV7.org to donate. So, Byron, I want to thank you for sharing your story on our story on What's Your Story. Thank you.
Thank you.